Welcome back to One Piece Anime Review. This is part 13, and this one we're going over season 14 and the special 3D2Y Overcoming Ace's Death. What's the full name of it? Overcoming Ace's Death. Let's see if I can get it up here. Overcoming Ace's Death, Luffy's Vow to his friends. Yep. First up is season 14, which is a long season, basically being 58 episodes long, basically encompassing two arcs. First is the main Ford arc, and then the post-war arc. Pretty much, this whole season covers a lot of covers like a lot of the manga. It covers like probably about close to 50 chapters. Let's see. Let's see here. Yep, it's like 50 chapters and like almost like 9 books. Yep, 9 books. Yep. Now in the main Ford arc, it's simply everything that Oda basically has done so far throughout the entire series, like throwing everybody. It's kind of similar to what Fairy Tail did with the Tartarus arc, just throw everything in prior to like halfway point of the manga, halfway through the series. Naruto didn't exactly do this at all. It never did. As far as I know, it never did. Bleach, as far as I can tell, never did this either. Let's see. This is by far only the second series I've seen it where basically before it's time skip where they throw in pretty much almost everything. They throw in like in here they throw in like all the warlords. Basically they show up all Whitebeard's pirates. Yeah, they throw in pretty much everybody. Everybody gets a chance to shine in here. Heck, they even show off like every single admiral who appeared in the series prior to this particular saga, including a new admiral no one has ever seen before, and his power, you get a chance to see him. This guy basically has the power to... This guy, he's basically what Whitebeard calls him a magma punk, because basically his power, he ate the magma fruit. Because it shoots volcanic stuff out of his arms. Yeah, and I did a little research on this guy. He actually, he's modeled after a real-life Japanese actor who passed away 3 years ago. I have no idea who the actor is, but I looked up, basically, I've never heard of this actor before, but I'm sure Oda probably was a fan of him. That's probably the reason why the character's modeled after him. Yeah, so everyone gets a chance to show off, and it's a big war. That's essentially what this is. It's a war. It's kind of similar to what Naruto did with the Fourth Grade Ninja War, and what Bleach did. Basically, something like this you would save like for the very end, but since they put this like halfway through, and with this particular saga, basically the characters of Whitebeard and Ace both die, which makes them, as of where I'm currently right now, I'm with book 80 right now for the manga. Excuse me. I'm just about to wrap up the Doflamingo arc. I've got like a few more chapters left to go for it. At this point, up until even the most recent thing, in present day, Whitebeard and Ace are the only characters in present day to officially die. Yeah, they're the only ones to officially die. There are characters who die in flashback, basically a small handful of them die in flashbacks, but not all of them. Yeah. But that's kind of the weird thing about One Piece. In the case of, let's say, someone like, what's a good one? It could be something like Hunter x Hunter, where they have villains die all the time. And, of course, Naruto's had characters who died throughout the course of the series. And a lot of the other ones I have read, basically, where characters have died during the course of it. But in the case of One Piece, only 2 characters in present day, because they've had characters in flashback die, but in present day, only 2 people. Now, pretty much with this one, it's like Okay, wrapping up majority of the storylines at this point, just showing off what basically what we have so far in the series. One of the most interesting titles they have for this season is Devil Fruit Powers versus Devil Fruit Powers, where everybody shows up with different power. And this is also, I think, the last time people get a chance to see Gecko Moria as part of the Warlords, because after the main Ford arc wraps up, he basically loses his status as a warlord because the war government deems him weak. Yeah, also at this point, Luffy has met every single warlord except for Doflamingo. Doflamingo sees him for the first time, this particular thing, but he doesn't fight him. Mainly just Crocodile, or basically one of the other pirates who fight Doflamingo. Yeah, Luffy for some reason doesn't fight him the most recent arc. I'm kind of like, why would it take him so long to fight this particular warlord? And this guy was around for a long time. And also, Bartholomew Kuma at this point, he's technically dead, because there is nothing left of the guy except basically his skin. Yeah, basically, by the time of the main Ford arc, he basically had his brain removed. He's had every single body part removed, except for his skin. Basically, he's a complete machine now, and he works for the government. He's basically a weapon. So, yeah, even the manga is kind of confused the fact that, despite the fact he's no longer human, and the fact that Bartholomew Kuma basically is no longer alive. So here's kind of the obvious question. Why is he still a warlord even though he's just a machine now? And the fact he doesn't remember anything at all. So even if he wants to relay a message, he can't because he can't talk. Because he's a robot. He's a Pacifica, which, by the way, they show up like 20 of these things. And during the course of this whole thing, Boa Hancock destroys like 5 of them. Yeah, just to protect Luffy. Yep, she destroys like 5 of them, except for basically Kuma himself. Yeah. And, heck, even by currently, basically, people are still questioning, like, is she still Warlord? Because, well, she kind of did some questionable things during this whole thing, and yet she still retained her status as a Warlord. Probably because she likes charming a lot of people, basically, like to keep her status. Yep. But Luffy does something that he doesn't do very often, basically, with other characters. I mean, in exchange, basically, for giving her giving him his Ace's key, he gave her a hug, and that kind of shocked her. And you also get a chance to see her fight like several people. Like she fights Smoker, and yeah, and she gets really mad at Smoker for attempting using his sword on Luffy, because it has a sea stone in it. So basically she broke it, and then later on, this is never explained. Apparently it looks fine, even though she broke it. Yeah, it's never explained. Maybe he taped it up, but who knows. I gotta admit, the main fort arc was really, really good. Heck, you get a chance to see Luffy hit his grandfather for the first time. Something probably been building up since the first time he's seen him, because all the times his grandfather's hit him over the course of his life. Basically, he wanted to get payback against him, but he stood in his way because he's a Marine. But after this arc was over with, he stepped down from the Marines, but he kept his title as Vice Admiral. Yeah, he's a Vice Admiral. I think, as far as I can tell, he was offered the position of Admiral, but he turned it down many times over the years. Also, they introduced a squad which had never introduced before, called the Giant Squad. And one of whom doesn't look like a normal giant, basically just a giant-sized woman. And as far as the Wicca is concerned, there is no name for this woman at all. As a matter of fact, most of the Giant Squad remains unnamed. Even to the most recent thing, because as far as I know, after the main Fort arc, the Giant Squad doesn't show up again, which I'm like, that is particularly very bizarre, to say the least. It would have been interesting to find out who these other giants are, but nope. Excuse me. But otherwise, though, the main Fort arc is good. The post-war, just the aftermath stuff, basically, it's kind of the same thing with Eros Lobby arc, basically, where they just to deal with the aftermath of what happened with that. And the post-war arc, like the post-Eros Lobby arc, is actually, there's actually more episodes for the anime than the actual manga. Like in the case of Eros Lobby, I think in the manga, I think it was like 11 chapters, while in the anime it was like 14 episodes. In the case of post-war, where in the manga it's 17 chapters, in the anime it's 26. Also, during this period of time, there was a team up episode with Torko, which had just started basically airing its anime. And for some strange reason, I was able to watch it no problem, but I had to go to a different website to watch it because, well, apparently Filmation did have the rights to basically dub the series, and then for some reason they lost the license, which is particularly very bizarre, and they didn't dub all the episodes. As far as I looked it up, they only dubbed about 30 or 40 episodes, and they skipped the first episode of the series. This team episode was the first episode I actually saw where it was subbed. Next season I'm going to watch a whole bunch of episodes subbed, basically about, I think it's going to be about 20, I think it's like 23, I think it's going to be about 33 episodes I'm going to watch sub, which isn't too bad. But the team episode I actually thought was really good. Yeah, it's basically Luffy, the Straw Hat crew going, and the story, the episode stuff has nothing to do with the actual thing. I watched this because I was interested because, well, why not? As for Torko himself, I am not really interested in his series at all. Despite the fact, yeah, he does have a lot of interest, which he does engage to, but aside from that, aside from the fact that this guy basically just hunts the best food, yeah, I'm just not really interested in the character at all. The only reason I watched his first episode was because he crossed over with One Piece. That's the only reason why. And in season 15, there's going to be another one, which is actually the second episode I'm going to watch subbed of season 15. There's actually two more crossovers left. There's 542 and 590. As far as I can tell, those two are the only two crossovers left. Though 590 that not only cross up with, Torko, but they also cross up with DBZ. I have heard they're doing another crossover with Dragon Ball later this year. I am not really sure when, so they're gonna have another one of those. So, yeah. Now there was a particular set of 10 episodes I skipped over, which was the flashback episodes, basically introducing the character Sorbo. Even the manga, I was just not interested at all. Aside from the fact that you just got introduction to the character Sorbo, aside from that, the action episodes itself really was not interesting to me at all. Nothing against the people who did the series. It just that this arc, this particular set of, even the manga chapters, I just was not interested at all. Nope. I was more focused on basically progressing this present-day story forward. I don't mind a brief flashback, but to put the main story on hold for this long is quite stupid. Yeah, to say the least. But once we got back to present day, basically Luffy agrees to go to training, and Hancock does her whatever stuff basically she does. Also, this is something quite interesting though, that toward the end of the main Ford arc, this is something that was never seen in the series. As far as I can tell, they're the only crew that actually have this. The Heart Pirates, which are captained by Captain Trafalgar D. Waterlaw. That's seriously the guy's name. He basically, his ship is a submarine. No joke, it's a submarine, and his nickname is the Surge of Death. Apparently he's an actual doctor. He saved Luffy and Jumbo's life. Yep. Yep. But yeah, basically because he saved Luffy's life and because they couldn't step foot in the island, they at least allowed him to basically harbor one of the bays, basically. But they did give him a small stretch of land where they can at least sit down on the actual island itself, despite the fact being surrounded by a wall, and apparently Luffy being the only man allowed in the actual main city. Yep. But yeah, Hancock basically giving Luffy all this food, and the fact she apparently knows Raleigh. Apparently Raleigh was actually with the Fishman Pirates when she was free from slavery. Quite interesting. And he agrees to go through training, but he wants to leave a message for his crew to meet up on Saba Abe in 2 years instead of 3 days. So he has a tattoo in his arm. Basically, it's like 3D, 2Y, but the X over the 3 days. He does this by going to Marineford, beat up some Marines, ring the Ox bell 16 times, uh, has a small vigil for Ace, because he throws basically a a thing of flowers down, like because Ace died right near there, and lucky enough them are reporters there, and he wanted to be sure to make a statement. Yeah, he took a picture, and eventually everybody, eventually the crew did catch him. It's like, okay, well, basically we understand. So they all basically went there, uh, did whatever they needed to do. Nami stayed in on Sky Island. Robin stayed with the Revolutionary Army. Frankie basically stayed in the laboratory that basically turned Kuma into a cyborg. Uh, Sanjay stayed in the island where uh, Eva is basically the queen of, just so he can get some more recipes. Let's see. Chopper stayed on an island to live more medicine. Yeah, the island where he was sent to. Usopp basically trained to be a brother warrior, of course, also lose a bunch of weight because he ate so much food. He put on so much weight. Yeah. I'm trying to think, there was any other person I forgot? Oh, Zoro, basically the island where he ended up. Yeah, it turns out basically that's where Hawkeye Mihawk lives. And Pandora. Petra. Yeah, she's there as well. Uh, and of course, basically, because he has to stay in the island for 2 years to train, he asks Hawkeye Mihawk to train so he can eventually kill him later on. Which he does agree to after he finds out that the baboon monkeys were defeated. And and so basically he trains with a monkey who basically knows all of Hawkeye Mihawk's moves. Yep. So yeah. That's really it for season 14. It was a great season. Long season though, even though I skipped over 10 episodes because I didn't really care for the flashback stuff, but it was a good season nonetheless. But before I close this video, I want to talk about the 3D2Y overcome Ace's death, Luffy's vow to his friends. Basically, even though it's kind of filler in a way, and for some reason it's not considered canon, I kind of consider it canon in the way, because of certain things basically that this particular thing does do that how should I put this? That doesn't contradict stuff later on. Like for example, at the end of the season, like prior to the jump, Luffy took off his hat and put it near this particular tree, which is a safe spot, and it remained there for 2 years. During this whole thing, he does not put on his hat at all, and he meets with Buggy the Clown, but he does not know Buggy is a warlord yet. As a matter of fact, he doesn't know why Buggy's even there. Let's see. What else? And they mentioned the fact he's still going to go in training. So at this point, I think he's only been training for about 6 months, maybe. Yeah, and because the thing ends basically kind of how it's mentioned in the manga, where Raleigh leaves about 6 months prior to the end of the time jump. He leaves about a year and a half into the training because basically Luffy got through the training pretty quickly. So Luffy decided to stay together for an additional 6 months. Yep. And he does something. He actually does something he never got a chance to do in the manga or the anime. Actually fight alongside Boa Hancock. Though their one fight they teamed up to take out one person, got interrupted by Petra, which Luffy. Now I know Luffy met her during the Thriller Bark arc. Basically, Luffy doesn't remember her at all. And Hancock like, oh, is Luffy cheating on me? Yeah. And also some weird things happen with Hancock. Basically, she fights a couple other people. I mean, she fights the doctor of the World Pirates. That they're the main bad guys at this particular special. And yeah, this doctor tries to block basically her beauty. One of the things she does, basically, she spits acid. It kind of burns part of her clothes, which is basically nearly falling out of them. Though basically she finds a way to kind of fix so clothes are not falling off. Despite the fact Luffy has seen her without clothes on before. As a matter of fact, that's how they first met, both in the manga and the anime. Yeah, they first met when Luffy basically fell through the roof of her palace and ended up in her bath. Yeah, so and seeing Luffy protect Hancock was actually really good. And shows off the strength that they have, the good chemistry they have with each other. And of course, at the end of it, basically, after the whole after they defeat World and Luffy gets back on her ship, she gives Luffy a hug. And Luffy's like, okay, even though he's done it with her, even though he's hugged her before, so I guess she's returning the favor for hugging him because he's alive. And for some reason, also in the story, Hancock's sisters get kidnapped by World, and they go off to rescue them. Of course, she frees them while he basically takes on World himself, and he wins, even though he's still alive, but he wins, and he can't afford to die or at least be seen by the Navy, which still keeps in canon basically with what happened during the 2-year time jump. And let's see what else. Yeah, and not only is Hancock doing the whole doing the thing like she's so happy. Yeah, her sister do the same thing for some reason, probably because Luffy risked his life to save them. And the reason why he did it because they gave him food. That's the reason why. Yep. It was an interesting special nonetheless. I would have thought the special would have been like 30 minutes. This one's almost 2 hours. It basically is kind of like an actual movie, and yet they aired this as a special instead of making this an actual movie. And kind of the weird thing is, for some reason, this wasn't dubbed. I do not know why. I didn't mind the fact that I was hearing the sub actors. Now, in the case of Raleigh, this will probably be the only time I get a chance to hear him sub, because the rest of the time, basically, I only get a chance to hear him dubbed. So, excuse me, for him, it's not much of a problem. For both Hancock and her sisters, this will probably be the only time I get a chance to hear her, at least hear her, hear the original Japanese actress, basically, who does her original voice, and a lot of the other characters. Now, Luffy, this is only the second time I've actually heard his the original sub voice. I don't mind it per se. I just kind of like the dub one a little bit more. It's kind of the same thing with Naruto, basically. It's either or, but in the case of basically One Piece, I kind of like the dub version a little bit more. But yeah, so good special nonetheless, and so that's it for this particular episode. Part 14, basically, where I'm going to cover season 15, which is the Fishman Island arc. Yeah, it takes up 57 episodes. It's like one episode shorter than the previous season. And then, of course, season 16 is like 50 episodes. And 17 is 118 episodes. Of course, it gets a little bit shorter after that, but yeah. So the first of 2 of 50 plus episode seasons, and well, at least 50 or 50 plus episodes. Yeah. So first, the three seasons in a row, they are kind of long. Okay. So I'll see you all in my next video. Also, I have another novel review coming up soon, so be sure to see that. Okay. But until then, I will see you there. Bye.